We are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Blake Ruffino. This is Are You Serious Sports. We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Was not planning on going live tonight, but as I told you yesterday on our show at 1 p.m., that LSU would be contacting and making a formal reach out to Kansas City Chief linebacker coach Matt House, and that they have. So, breaking news, let's go. Matt House is the new defensive coordinator at LSU. We're going to tell you everything that I believe in it. We've had multiple people come on this show and talk about Matt House, give you their feelings. But tonight, I'm going to give you my feelings about Brian Kelly's first coordinator hire at LSU that has been named in DC, Matt House. A lot we can break down. A lot of people are saying and asking, who is Matt House? We will give you all those details here tonight on Are You Serious Sports? So, jam-packed show. Brian Kelly already making moves. Tyrann Mathieu, who is a part of the Kansas City Chiefs, which you all know, has already given his glowing recommendation for Matt House, saying he's one of the best that he's ever been around in all of football. So that's going to give LSU fans a lot of going to make them feel good about this hire. And look, Brian Kelly is going to go after winners. We will break that down tonight as why Matt House ultimately is the guy from Brian Kelly. So a lot to get into. Okay, let's get to a couple comments before we get started. Alejandro says, and before y'all ask, can he defend the spread? Think about what he sees in practice every day. Ain't that the damn truth? And look, we're gonna get started, pay some bills, and then we'll formally kick this thing off. But even to Alejandro's point here, look at who he's coached individually, and look how much on teams that he's been on, how much he's won. Guys, he's a stone cold winner. Everywhere he's gone, they've won. He went to Kentucky, and they won. So, very solid hire that maybe not a lot of people were talking about, but regardless, a very, very good hire. All right, let's do this because we got a lot of questions firing in. We will start off with Charlie Viator when we get back. So let's do this. Everybody joining us, do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to some Facebook groups. We would greatly appreciate it if you're listening to us on Facebook to share those Facebook groups. Also, there's 350 of you in here live currently. Do us a favor by hitting the like and share to your own social media pages as well. If you're listening to us on YouTube, we greatly appreciate it as well. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and notification bell. We want all of you to be subscribers at YouTube. I had a lot of questions this past week. If we charge anybody for a subscription on YouTube, no, we do not. It's a free subscription. And if you're listening to us on the Twitter sphere or on the audio podcast, don't forget to subscribe, follow, and retweet there as well. So a lot to get into tonight. Don't forget to hit that like and share. All right, let's pay some bills around this thing, and then we will talk about LSU's new defensive coordinator, Matt House, and field all of your questions. But none better than our good friends over at GM Varno & Sons and BetOnline.ag. Guys, with 64 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to servicing your vehicle than GM Varno & Sons. Our favorite big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. Or go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard in Denham Springs, Louisiana. And our good friends over at BetOnline.ag. Guys, we've been telling you about BetOnline for such a long time now. There's no better place to place all those mobile bets in the state of Louisiana than BetOnline. With it being legal now in the state, you got to go to BetOnline and sign up today by using the Believe 50 AYS podcast tab. That way that they give you 50% off of that first welcome bonus. That's BetOnline.ag. BetOnline.ag. All right, let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Yeah, I see a lot of people in here saying rest in peace to John Madden. That for sure. For sure. Fire in your questions. If you have questions, hashtag Ask Blake. a lot of people that watch us religiously know to do that. So we'll start off with Charlie Viator. He says, hashtag ask Blake, do you think we have a shot at Harold Perkins now with House hire at DC? Absolutely. I think that you had him a shot at him without Matt House, but this makes this very, very this helps you a lot in the Harold Perkins world. Now, look, Matt House, and if you haven't done a deep dive on him or know who he is right now, he is currently or was currently or past, I guess you could say now because he's the LSU defensive coordinator, but was the inside linebackers coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. We saw just this past season guys like Willie Gay and others step up at Kansas City under his tutelage. Now, Brian Kelly, and I know that there were some things that a lot of people talked around Brian Kelly, what kind of defense he wanted to run. Matt House is going to run the defense that he normally wants to run in a multiple odd front scheme. They're not going to just be a 3-4 team. They're going to come out with four down linemen. They're going to have really athletic outside linebackers and really athletic inside linebackers and want to fly to the football. There were some situations where Matt House and Mark Stoops, when Matt House was at Mark Stoops, and we can even read off Matt House's what I guess his resume. That way, everybody who does not know about him, we can go through it now. But Matt House has had a multitude, and I mean a lot, of NFL and college stops. Being at Michigan State, North Carolina, Gardner-Webb, started off in the NFL at Buffalo with the defensive backs, and recruiting coordinator was at the Carolina Panthers, St. Louis Rams, Pittsburgh, and then was a defensive coordinator at Pittsburgh, where he had probably the best defensive tackle in all of the country in Aaron Donald. Went to FIU and was at Kentucky, was a defensive coordinator at Kentucky, then went to the Kansas City Chiefs. So has called plays in college and has a really good resume in the NFL on teams that have won. Guys, that year with Aaron Donald at Pittsburgh, they won. At Kentucky, it was the first 10-win season that they'd had, I think, since the 50s. And we already know what's going on with the Kansas City Chiefs and how their defense has progressed this year alone. Started off slow, and they've done really well. Then you got guys like Tyrann Mathieu, one of your own, who somewhat puts his stamp of approval on Matt House and what he's done for this defense. So I'm perfectly okay with this hire. Now, I know that we've had people on the show that have I don't want to say poo-pooed on this hire, but stats don't tell you everything. What happened with Mark Stoops at Kentucky does not tell you everything. He molded and shaped that defense to be a top 10 defense on a team that historically does not have 10 wins, and they got to 10 wins. Whatever happened with him and Mark Stoops, and we've seen Mark Stoops, quite honestly, is kind of like a poor man's Les Miles. Let's call a spade a spade. Mark Stoops is a poor man's Les Miles without the national titles and SEC titles. It's just the truth. So he has an issue with how he runs his defense, and then he's gone. But I will take him coaching and molding first-round picks like Aaron Donald now that he's going to be able to get the talent like he can at LSU. Brian Kelly did put out a statement, and I think this is the most telling thing to me too, is that he talks about Matt House and his ability to, number one, recruit, number two, develop on the field, and number three, shape young men. That's what you want. Guys that can coach, recruit, and shape young men. Now, obviously, he's going to be able to call a defense. Trust me, he's going to be able to call a defense. And quite honestly, Brian Kelly did something that Ed Orgeron was unable to do. Completely unable to do. So you got to give it to him. All right, let's get to these questions. Joseph. And cheers to Matt House. We're drinking a little bit tonight. Joseph says, hashtag ask Blake, what grade would you give the House hire, and how much of an upgrade is he from Durante Jones? Look, I don't know how much I'm going to put of an upgrade to Durante Jones when Ed was forcing his hand so many weeks before Alabama. Here's where the upgrade is from Durante Jones. Is Matt House has been the coordinator at Pittsburgh. He's been a coordinator in this conference. He's been in the NFL at multiple stops. And look, not even just at multiple stops. In 2008, he was at the Carolina Panthers, where they were a 12-4 team, and they won the NFC South title. He's a Super Bowl winning coach. Super Bowl winning coach in 2019 with the Kansas City Chiefs. Literally, I don't know how else to say this. Everywhere, even in 2015 at FIU, every team and every place this man's going is that they won. So, with all due respect to Daronte, and this isn't a slight at him, this is not a slight at Daronte Jones whatsoever, but it is an upgrade from a resume standpoint. Now, can he come in here and call defense? That's something that we're going to have to come in here and see. But I think that he can. I certainly think that he can. And Marcus on YouTube says, hashtag ask Blake, what's going to happen with Daronte? Well, I'm assuming at this point he's not going to be retained. And now it shows you why Blake Baker was not retained. You don't keep coaches on the old staff if you're going to bring your guy in, especially if that guy is recruiting or is going to be coaching the position, the specific position of a guy. You're going to want to bring your DC in. Here's something that everyone needs to know. And this needs to be the biggest talking point around all of this, because we had our issues with Les Miles. We had our issues with Ed Orgeron, especially when it comes to hiring a staff. Let's look at Brian Kelly's last 3 defensive coordinators and where they're at currently right now. 2 at least. Mike Elko, was at Texas A&M, is now the head coach at Duke. Now, everybody remembers Marcus Freeman, and I forgot the third, off the top of my head, I forgot the third defensive coordinator who also is a head coach elsewhere too. So the last 3 defensive coordinators that Brian Kelly has had on his staff is now head coaches somewhere. So if he brings in Matt House, and do you think that that's not a selling point to Matt House? And God forbid, what if and I'm not even knock on wood, but what if Matt House comes into LSU and their defense is really good and he goes somewhere and becomes a head coach his damn self? Then it would be 4 straight defensive coordinators that Brian Kelly has coached that have gone on or been a part of his staff, to go on to be a head coach in college. This is not Les Miles. This is not Ed Orgeron that's hiring here. Matt House had to do something inside that interview with Brian Kelly to blow his socks off. And really and truthfully, outside of Brad White, who's the current Kentucky defensive coordinator, nobody name has been floating around more than Matt House. Tell me I'm wrong. Paul Batt says, Kentucky fans on YouTube says, Kentucky fans said Matt House is the linebacker and Ed Rusher whisperer. He is. Look at Josh Allen. I forget the what was the linebacker from Kentucky's name? He got drafted by the Lions. If I'm not mistaken, he led the nation in tackles. God, what was his name? The Kentucky linebacker is slipping, but got drafted by the Lions, and I think it's still there. So he's done a really good job. Really, really, really good job. Skipper Tally on YouTube says, hashtag ask Blake, what about BK wanting a coordinator with SEC experience? And that's what we're talking about. Look, we've been, for the last 4 weeks, at least twice or 3 times a week on this show, we had talked about Brian Kelly. It was one thing that we knew and reported on that we knew for 100% certainty. Brian Kelly had made known to a lot of people. And look, we came out on here on this show for the last 4 weeks and said this. Brian Kelly wanted one of his coordinators on either side of the ball to have SEC experience. And there you go with Matt House. Coordinator at Kentucky from 2017 to 2018, was at Kentucky as well, coaching inside linebackers in 2016. Mark Stoops, who later let him go, obviously thought enough of Matt House to hire him as his DC in 2016. So, and not just SEC experience, but guys, even to go above, he's been around a world champion too, right? Like he's been with the Kansas City Chiefs, been around Andy Reid, been around Steve Spagnuolo. That defense is really turning it around. He's won everywhere he's gone, and I don't think that people fully have come to grasp with that yet. But a very, very prestigious resume since 2001 when he was at Michigan State. All right, let's get to a couple more of these questions. Joseph also says, hashtag Ask Blake, SEC about to go 0-4 in bowl games. Guys, I really don't. And look, I really don't care what the SEC teams do in bowl games. And Joseph, this is not a slight at you. I could care less. I hope all of them lose. Speaking of bowl games, I said this yesterday on my show. So to the 984 people that's in here currently right now, guys, I don't know if LSU is going to make it next week. I said it yesterday and will say it again today. I don't know if they're going to make it next week. They might. They might. But, man, it I'll leave that one alone for now. Robert Laws says, hashtag Ask Blake, are you more excited about House or would you have been or like to see Jones stay for a year with how his defense looks at the end of the year? I really, man, Durante was put in a very sticky situation. I think that there are some things that you got to look at, though, with Durante. Even though they had success in the last part of the year, guys, they still ended the season as a 91st in the rankings from passing defense efficiency and passing defensive yards. Guys, that's not good. Now, they did good up front. They did a lot of good things. Not taking anything away from Durante Jones. Durante Jones has made a name from Alabama on. He made a name for himself. I wouldn't be surprised if Durante was a DC somewhere else. Maybe a smaller P5 somewhere else. Maybe he can work himself into the SEC somewhere. But that man's going to be a good coach. He is a good coach, and he's going to be a DC again. Not only is he going to be a DC again, I can see him being a head coach. If you talk to people that were around LSU this year, if there was one coach or one coordinator that has been here over the last really 4 years that they thought was the best at their job, so to speak, a lot of people and knew what was going on, they would have told you Durante Jones. It's not my words. I'm just repeating what someone in that building told me. With that being said, look, you can't take away from the resume that Matt House has. And when you come in here and you clean house, you got to give Brian Kelly the ability to clean house. So if you don't want Brian Kelly to clean house, this is what I don't want in these comments anymore. I don't want that LSU has a culture problem. I don't want to hear LSU win 11-11. I don't want to hear that players are opting out. I don't want to hear that we have a roster management problem. I don't want to hear that we have too many kids that are 5 stars going into the portal. I don't want to hear about NIL deals. I don't want to hear about any of it. Guys, when sometimes to build something great, something might have already been great in the past. Sometimes you got to tear everything down to build it back up. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Every LSU fan, I hope you listen. There are things in sourcing that I've been talking about over the last couple of weeks, and it continues to come to me from LSU football ops. Brian Kelly ain't coming here to lose. He don't want to lose next year. He doesn't want to go 7-5. He doesn't want to go 8-4. He don't want to go 9-3. I think if that man finds a way to go 9-3 next year, it's a goddamn miracle. Miracle, as Charles Barkley would say. But he's going to hit the portal hard with experienced guys that can come in here and somewhat put a Band-Aid on this roster that Orgeron left that was quite honestly, from a depth perspective and a roster perspective, trash. Guys, you're going to be at 48 guys at the end of the bowl. Other guys, other seniors are going to leave. You're going to have 48 athletes on that team. You're allowed to have 85. Been preaching that all season long about how this roster's thin, but now you'd want to listen to me. He wants to win, and he wants to win now. So although we say sometimes you got to tear things down to rebuild it back up, don't get it twisted that this man wants to come in here and lose. You know what else? The coaches that he's putting around him are also winners. They've won everywhere they've gone. With all due respect to the old regime, that's not the case. It's not the case. So what? You had a quality control analyst in Jake Peetz that went to Alabama. The manger that Jesus was laid in on Christmas morning also has been an analyst for the University of Alabama. Everybody can be an analyst at Alabama. But he wants winners around him right now. Period. Everybody do us a favor and hit the like and share. We would greatly appreciate it. Gray says he has proven nothing. He was a DC at UK. Stupid hire. God, I hope I'm wrong. Okay. He's been a DC for multiple teams that have won 10-plus games. He was a part of a defense and part of a team that won a Super Bowl. Jimmy James says the coach at Vandy. Yeah, that's right. Who is the head coach at Vandy? God dog it. Thank you for whoever said that. Who is the head coach at Vandy? Why is his name? It's too late and I've been drinking. Vandy head football coach. Mark Lee, that's it. So look, the last three defensive coordinators for Brian Kelly have been head coaches. One of them's in the SEC. Jeremy Gilner. What's up, coach? He says people need to calm down. Maybe we should let them coach a season or maybe even a game before we judge. Craig on Facebook says Hurricane Ed came through and crumbled the house. BK has to rebuild it. I agree with that. Terry Baker. What's up, Terry? He says great hire and go Tigers. Alejandro says Saban coaches Alabama's defense. Pete Golding is just his way into Louisiana for recruiting. I'm not going to argue with that one. Juice Washington, what's up, Juice? He said, hashtag Ask Blake, can Matt House recruit? I haven't. Let me say this. I have not gone through the guys that he's brought in. Okay, meaning, I think there's multiple services and recruiting boards that do who all he brought in and shit like that. I haven't gone through that list yet. Now, I probably should have. But Brian Kelly did talk about the reason that he hired Matt House. One of the biggest reasons is that he can recruit. I'll take BK at his word for it. I'll definitely take BK at his word for it. Lamar Williams says, shout out to Get Gordon for getting a group of business owners together to give NIL deals. Man, they're making this shit a bigger deal than what it is. They act like that shit hadn't been already going on. We had to all come together. Bullshit. You already been together. Listen, very quickly, not calling Gordon out for this. This isn't on him. They've been doing this shit for too long. Don't listen to just because it's on the internet or radio doesn't mean that you got to listen to a narrative that's being pushed. Oh. Let me also say this very quickly, too. There's going to be people in the media, the local media, that's going to trash this hire. I want you to ask those specific media members in their comments, can they draw you an inside zone? Can they draw you an outside zone and zone blocking schemes? Do they know what counter trap is and what guard, when he pulls, what backer or end he should be blocking? I want you to ask them that. And when and if they tell you no, Then you come back here and tell me why you're listening to them trash a guy that has SEC experience on a team, on a defense that had 10 wins when Kentucky, wait for it, when he was a DC, was ass water. Guys, Kentucky used to be the laughing stock of the SEC. He brought them to different heights. I don't go for this whole, it's a slam dunk hire. No, it's not. No hire's a slam dunk hire until you win that natty. But I'm already hearing some shit from come on. Gray says, keep laughing. Hope I'm wrong, big fellas. Let's circle back. I'll gladly eat crow. Okay. Jacob says, BK Will is running LSU like a true CEO or a Fortune 500 company. I agree. Steve Bean 64 on YouTube says, preach it, clean slate, move forward, quit talking in the past. True. Chase Orgeron, who wants to know about the D-line coach. Go figure. Chase, you know I love you, but you Orgerons love you some D-line coaches, boy. Y'all love y'all some D-line coaches. But my man Chase says, what's the word on the D-line coach staying, leaving? He's the one coach I haven't really heard anything about. And I got to be honest. So to take this for what you will, I have not heard one real true thing about him. The only thing that I've been told is that they don't expect him to stay. But now that you have one of your defensive pieces and your coordinator in place, I think that you will start to see these position coaches getting filled. So right now, and this literally can change within 20 seconds. But right now, I don't know that. Jason said, hashtag ask Blake, who's going to be the OC? For the way that I'm feeling is it's going to either be Mike Denbrock, the OC at Cincinnati. And look, let me say this. I'm on the Mike Denbrock train. The more and more I break down and watch Cincinnati, and even when he was at Notre Dame, I really like the way that Mike Denbrock calls plays. I like the way that, he's kind of like, to me, a more polished Steve Ensminger in a way, like a really, really more polished Steve Ensminger, like the way that they run things. They're a little bit more physical up front. They like to run the football a little bit more in a power set going out of the pistol. But, man, does he seem a little bit more just with the times, so to speak. I don't mean that as a slight to Steve. But, man, look, their offense is crisp now. They're very crisp. Now, they're going to go up against – Cincinnati's going to go up against Alabama, and they're going to get that ass beat. But I'm not going to take anything away from that. Or maybe Todd Monken. We'll see. Stefan on Facebook says, hashtag ask Blake. With what we know currently about the players coming back and coming in, what's your starting 11 on the defensive side of the ball next year? Stefan, we're going to have to wait on that, brother. We're going to have to wait on that. Hutko on YouTube says, Blake, do you prefer ATM when it comes to the defensive line? Or if you're talking about a 3-man, it really doesn't bother me. Honestly, it really doesn't bother me. I mean, look, Clemson's won national titles with going 4-2-5. Multiple teams. And look, even Saban talked about this year that he considers his defense right now as a 4-2-5. He said, basically in the interview that I remember listening to, he goes, Will Anderson might be listed as an outside backer. We're still running the concepts on the back end that we always run, but he's considered as a 4-2-5. So you just got to be multiple, man. You got to do a lot like what Durante did. You got to be multiple. You can't be predictable. You just can't. And sometimes you got to coach to the way that your personnel allows. Bert says Ryan Clark is a Rudy Poo. He needs to jump off on Saban's nuts. Well, I didn't hear what he said, but he can be Rudy Poo sometimes, like a lot of us can. Matthews on Facebook says, do you think offensive mindset will be more balanced? Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, you're going to run the football a lot more effectively. And here's the good thing about Brian Kelly and Dan Brock and Matt House. Guys, you're not going to get out-coached. Meaning, man, you're just not going to have a confusion from your offensive coordinator of not knowing what the fuck to do. Excuse my language. You're just not. But it's pathetic for you to have an offensive coordinator at LSU, of all places, for a guy that just doesn't know what he's doing. Guys, we had 2 coordinators that never called plays in the SEC or anywhere for that matter coaching here last season. And you're asking me if it's an upgrade. I don't mean that in a wrong way, but at some point we got to take a step back and say, guys, look, listen. Willie Kane Ward on Facebook says, #ask Blake, what are some transfers you think we get? Look, I think that they're after the Akron wide receiver. I think that they're gonna actively go after the Notre Dame guys that go in the portal. Specifically just the Carnegie being one of them. Those are really the only 2 that I'm hearing right now. Deion Black says he recruited James Conner and Avonte Maddox and Jamin Davis. There you go. There you go. Roderick says Tyrann Mathieu approves of House, so I can roll with that. Guys, when you have an all when I'm going to leave that one alone. Peggy says, watch A&M hire Durante. Good. Good. Sounds good. Oh, God. Matt says, Blake, Hutko is referring to ass to mouth. That's a Moscona thing. Matt Moscona thing. Yeah, I don't. Of course it would have Hutko on it, right? But Matt acts like he's bigger than he is when he's really not, because we have 944 people in here right now. Matt, good luck, buddy. I see the numbers on your show. Ass clown. Nick Rizzuto, what's up, Nicky? Says on Facebook Live, #ask Blake, does this hire pull Jacoby Matthews or anyone else on the bubble? I think it can. And look, nobody has yet to explain to me, A&M guys included, on how Texas A&M can still be on the limit and still get guys like Harold Perkins and Jacoby Matthews. No one has explained it to me, and I know that multiple recruiting guys have been asked that question, and they can't answer it. That means that they're blue shirt and gray shirting people, but I think outside of transfers, A&M's at their limit. They have to be. They have to be. Rick says, #ask Blake, has he called Harold Perkins yet? He needs to know. He needs to now. Will Casey let him make calls for LSU while coaching? Well, of course he was. I wouldn't be surprised if he'd already be here. I mean, of course he will. Considering he just got hired literally an hour ago, I don't know if he's called Harold Perkins yet. Denley says, #ask Blake, who will be the starting water boy? H2O is very important in that Louisiana humidity. Darren says, #ask Blake, I know off subject, But anyone on Tar Easton being able to play tomorrow against Auburn? No. It's football. Little dude says, Ash Blake, which local media members are you always referring to in trashing LSU? Come on, man. Listen to him. I mean, see, I'm going to go down that. I'm going to go down that path. I'm going to go down that path, and it's going to start a war again. But this whole new age of what we're doing and the old shit that they're doing shit against LSU. LSU's behind an NIL. Bullshit. Had a five-star recruit this past week tell me that people around LSU is calling him, trying to put things together. It's a stone cold bitch ass lie. I'm tired of the fear mongering. Sick and tired of it. Now somebody else who knows what the fuck they're talking about has a microphone. Oh, boy, where's he coming with this? Do your job. Make the phone call. Barrett Granger. Coach Granger says Mississippi State catching them Texas Tech hands. Man, it's so crazy. So crazy because Mike Leach talked all that shit. All that shit. Aaron Adams Jr. says, hashtag Ask Blake, is he supposed to coach out the season at KC? I'll be honest, I haven't been able to get a lot of stuff because once it was announced we went live. I would expect that he will coach the rest of the season. I mean, look, man, they're about to make a Super Bowl run. Let him do some things with LSU. Let him do recruiting. Let him be a part of practice and running stuff. But, yeah, let him finish out the season. Let him continue to do things. That'll be fine. Let him recruit. Let him be in Louisiana. Let him be at practice at KC. These guys have done this before. This isn't the first time this has happened. Let him be there when KC wins it all or loses. Then he'll be here full time. But until then, he'll start setting stuff up. Kind of like Dan Lanning, who is the new Oregon head coach. Guys, you have Dan Lanning, who's going to be coaching the playoffs this Friday, or a playoff game this Friday, and he's the head coach at Oregon. Defensive coordinator for Georgia. Think about that. You have a head coach for Oregon being the DC for a playoff game. Yeah, I think Matt House will be there, but he'll be doing his stuff. We'll be fine. That's the least part of my worries. The very least part of my worries, guys. I'm just being honest. Neil says, hashtag Ask Blake, yes, he will join the team after the season already been announced. There you go. There you go. I hadn't seen that yet, but there you go. Alejandro says, man, y'all keep it a G. Y'all know Jordy Culotta be spreading that NIL fear. Blake might not say it, but I will. Woo! A Coach Granger. Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. I'm sick of that shit. I'm sick of that shit. Like Stone Cold done. Stone Cold done with it. Scott says, first time listening. I love it. Speak it, bro. Thanks, man. Thanks. Denley says, get him, Blake. JC is pushing that NIL crap. Yeah, I ain't gonna play with that shit. Neil, yeah, we already got to that one. He already got to that one. Or we already got to that one. All right, let's get back up here. Let's get to a couple more of these comments. Pooh Bear, what's up, Pooh Bear? He says, hashtag Ask Blake, what is more annoying to hear, NIL or Roll Tide? Right now, for me, it's NIL because the people that say Roll Tide, they can't help it. They have more teeth than they do white blood cells in their brain. Man, I'm sorry, but they don't know any better. It's like, it's like a kid that does something bad and you're like, look, that baby just don't know any better. They don't know no better. But I literally am sick and tired of people saying LSU doesn't have the NIL shit ready to go. Guys, you had a corner that didn't play a third of the season that got more money than, or about the same amount of money than anybody else in the country. What do you mean LSU wasn't ready for NIL? No, the boosters some of the boosters that want their name out there, they weren't ready. To say LSU wasn't ready when I'm talking to a 5-star recruit and he's telling me, bullshit, they ain't ready, my phone don't stop blowing up. What the hell do you think that I'm supposed to think after that? I can make the phone call. Then you got his daddy calling me saying, this is some bullshit. This ain't true. All right, just had this sent to me. Yeah, somebody's watching and then texted it to me. Yeah, he will be coaching out the rest of the season. Meaning Matt House. Juice Washington says he did coach Josh Allen to an All-American season the years he was at Kentucky. Yeah, not only that, and look, man, Brad White was a part of that team. So the defensive coordinator at Kentucky, for people who are wondering. So look, he's had good runs. Very good runs. Richard says, love how passionate you are about LSU. Thanks, man. Thank you. So let's get to a couple more of these questions here. Kenny Ford says, hashtag ask Blake, do you think that there's any chance Logan Diggs would enter the portal? Man, if you don't know who Logan Diggs is, was a kid out of Archbishop Rummel that went to Notre Dame last year. LSU wanted him to play linebacker. If he does, man, I'd love to have him. I'd love to have him. That kid was just rolling through people at Notre Dame as a freshman. So yeah, I'd love to have him. Stacy says, shows that some fans are just out of touch for what is needed to rebuild. Some media too. Chris says, Blake, I got my wife listening to you with me now. I love it. Jason says, hashtag ask Blake, honestly, are we going to play in this bowl game next week? I'd like to know before I secure a hotel. Listen, Jason, and this is to all the LSU fans that are listening currently. This is part opinion, part sourcing, okay? Part things is I know that there are some guys that are out. Some of them, it's like, let me give an example of why I can't say who they are. Because if I say so-and-so's out, only thing you hear is Blake Ruffino says so-and-so's out for the bowl game, when that's not true. Maybe somebody got, a turf toe or rolled an ankle or whatever. And then you don't come back until the bowl game because of the holidays, and then this guy comes back and plays. So let me say this. There are some guys that are nicked up that were going to play in the bowl game. I just don't know with how COVID is going and the testing is going if LSU is going to have enough players to play. I don't know if they'll have, in some position groups, I don't know if they'll have enough. God forbid something happened to a quarterback. You got 2 walk-on quarterbacks right now. And Dontre Kirkland. Here's the opinion. The opinion is that I've still yet to see somebody tell me or give to me what does LSU gain from this bowl game? Guys, what do they gain? The practices can be done and be over with. The game don't mean shit. Oh, Blake, what's LSU going on that helmet? Yeah. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, any year besides COVID. Yeah, that was true. Guys, right now, that's just not true. There are different circumstances with this. You can think that politics is pushing COVID or whatever in the hell. I personally don't give a shit about your politics. I don't care about all that. Times are different. The quicker you can get over that, you got to get over that for this exact reason. Times are different. Kid might be asymptomatic, test positive, you're out for 5 days, he tests on the 1st, now he's out. So to Jason's question here, no, I have no clue whatsoever if LSU truly is going to play in the game. I don't think that they are. Personally, I don't think that they'll get there. I think that they'll lose too many numbers and they can't play. Number two, as much as I want to see LSU put the pads on, put the helmet on, and go kick somebody's ass, I don't think that personally for next season, the 2022 season is bigger than a bowl game, the Texas Bowl against Kansas State. The cornbread fed, Wildcat loving Kansas State Wildcats. It doesn't mean anything. Just doesn't mean anything, man. Scott McClendon said Matt House has his hands full with Joe Burrow this Sunday. Just think what he looks at in practice every day with the Chiefs and with my homeboy. It's true, man. It's true. It's very true. Thank you to everybody who sent us stars via Super Chat. Teresa and Jason just sent us some stars. Zabrian sent us some stars. So yeah. Brandon says Gordon literally came on and confirmed LSU's behind an NIL. They're behind an NIL when you have a guy making $900,000 from United Airlines. You have a team that's behind an NIL when you literally have individuals like Caesars paying LSU because they know what they're going to do for players in NIL. Guys, Caesars is going to play LSU, I think, what was it, $5 million per game or some shit like that? With all due respect to Gordon, don't mean this in the wrong way. You literally have a 5-star recruit saying that he has LSU boosters calling him about NIL opportunities. With all due respect to Gordon, Gordon doesn't know what his other competitors are doing. Period, point blank. Get that shit through y'all's heads. You mean to tell me LSU, a university that's been paying kids and recruits to come to the school for years, just so happens to be behind in NIL? The fuck you mean? Spare me with the lies. Spare me with the fear-mongering. They're putting pressure on LSU for different reasons. Reasons that your brain probably, because my brain can't comprehend. The both of us can't comprehend what they're trying to do. Stop being stupid. Jason says that COVID is rampant in the Houston area. I just don't see how we get here, man. I don't see how we get to the bowl game. Roger says, hashtag Ask Blake, I like how physical we are about to be under Kelly with his staff. Roger, I completely agree with you there, my brother. Completely agree with you there. Physical on both sides of the line, too, man. Yes. Willie Kane sent some stars via Facebook. Thank you, my friend. So does Kyle Ryan. Thank you, Kyle. Kenny Robinson sends some stars via Facebook. Thank you. So does Bob and Irene. Thank you, Bob and Irene and Chris English. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate that. That helps us so much. Helps us so much. Eric Wright. I mean, bro, I can't. Just being honest. Lamar Williams says, I feel a 9-3 season next year, if not better. We'll see. I hadn't said this yet, but Jared Allen brings this up. I know a lot of people have been saying it, but rest in peace to John Madden, man. I might go out there after the end of this show, and I might just simply what I might do is I might go out there and play me some Madden. I'm not normally big on the video games, but God dang it, my childhood requires it. Just does, man. Robert Law says, hashtag Ask Blake, any word on Garrett Nussmeier And if Kirkland is the quarterback, how much does he change your offensive scheme? Well, let me take that last one first. It completely changes your offensive scheme. Secondly, what scheme is that? Because Jake Peetz ain't got a scheme. He's got plays that he sometimes runs. Number three, no, I have not heard anything on Garrett Nussmeier. NCAA, you really have no clue what you're going to hear. Like, let me tell you this, and we can say it now because the Orgeron staff's gone. Man, let me tell you something. The Orgeron staff was pushing out that the NCAA told them that John Emery is going to get cleared for his academic appeal. Man, them Rudy Poos lied their asses off so much. God, did they lie their asses off so much. Whew! I mean, and not just lying. I'm talking about like we all know that one person that's like a what's the word I'm looking for here? Not a religious liar, but anyway, they just lied so much. What's the word I'm looking for? Pathological liar. You had people around that staff that are not even pathological. They're pathological with a capital P. Will ask, what's the latest on Booty? Still planning on being in spring practice. It's funny what Alabama media will do when they think that they're not getting Booty, huh? Y'all saw the report there. Oh, Keyshawn Bootie's not coming to LSU. At least not until spring. Bert, that's a good one. He says compulsive. Yeah, there you go. Habitual liar, James. I mean habitual. Habitual. Horrible. Ass water. Ty says, hashtag #AskBlake. BJ Ojolari said Drontre Kirkland has been taking reps at QB and has been doing well. Yeah. I think you all need to ask yourself why Drontre Kirkland's taking reps at quarterback. I'm going to leave that one there. All right, guys. We will see y'all again tomorrow, I believe. We'll be going after the basketball game, though. We don't go live during LSU Athletics of the three big sports. So we're probably going to have potentially have some more staff hires up for grabs tomorrow. It's going to be fun. Stay tuned. We'll be talking about all of them. Be reading all your comments. Until then, guys, y'all have a good night, and peace out, Girl Scouts.